So it's going to be double support in the bot lane. So obviously what I'm expecting is either double mage or for the support player to be picking Senna or something of that nature. So
or Sona.
Or Sona. Yeah, or
Yeah.
Karma.
Ooh,
Okay. Or you know what? Let's just throw in
or
Yumi.
what else? Yumi?
Let's throw in. You know what? Actually,
What, like mage Yumi?
one of the new Chinese solo queue tactics was actually Pike Tark recently.
That sounds pretty gross.
So, maybe we could see something like that. But all right, let's take a look at the draft because I want to see what they were talking about in the trash talk segment.
Yeah.
Okay.
If they can actually live up to that, right?
And so far they're banning Rek'Sai, LeBlanc, Lucian. T1 banning Pantheon, Akali, and Elise. Remember, this is patch 10.2. Akali has not had her kneecaps busted yet. Although they just released a micro patch for Akali and Yumi.
Okay.
Middle of last night.
Well, LS's kneecaps get busted right off the bat with that set first on B1. As, that's just the way things go here. Ornn,
So,
not going to be picked just yet.
and that actually, I've talked about it so many times on the broadcast. B1 set is really vulnerable. We've seen it many times in all of the set games so far that he can run into team compositions that he doesn't really do anything against, and then he decays, basically. Decay's a really interesting word. I found out that Koreans use that to describe certain champions, that they really go up and then they just plummet.
Yeah.
So that's
They decay.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never heard a term like that for a champion before.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think that you decay while you're in the death realm, just slowly?
Ooh, I get it.
Does that impact the kind of timelines that are going on in there?
Well, I'm not too sure, but what I am sure about is T1 elected to take Mordekaiser into set, and this always is a bit confusing because if Set plays the matchup right, he's favored. And so it's such a bizarre way to try to approach it when so many better champions do exist against this champ that also just have more modes and offer more to your team composition. So, T1 now with the Jarvan locked in as well, banning away the Lee Sin, Ryze being banned away by Hanwha Life. And we don't know if that Rumble is going to be support, mid, top,
Jungle. You never know.
AD.
Could be AD.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Vista in the AD role now, so you really do not know. The quintuple flex. You don't see that every day.
Nautilus being banned away. Little interesting. And now T1 hovering Thresh. So they'll have a lot of pick opportunity with this team composition. And obviously, you're going to want to do this to maintain the Mordekaiser being able to be flexed mid and top lane. And then reserving counter pick as you deem fit. But it's going to be swapped to Leona last second.
Yeah, still is that support pick, so you still get to have that counter pick for the last pick, as you were mentioning. Lots more Leona coming in. Definitely one of our more fun melee bottom laners, as Diana gets picked up here alongside of Shen. We all know that Lehens loves to play Shen. I wouldn't be surprised to see him hop onto that one, which means it should be Rumble, Diana, and Set up in the top side of the map.
So this definitely is a non-traditional kind of LCK draft. So I do like to see this. Now, in terms of the champions that they picked, they're walking into the Death Realm. They have lots of champions that are able to be effectively stifled by that Mordekaiser. And for some reason, T1 lock in Aatrox as the final pick. So when Hanwha Life loves close quarter combat, and they love interrupting you and having CCs and massive amounts of burn and disruption, the Aatrox comes in to walk right into it, and some people might think, well, Aatrox likes close quarter combat too, but the champions on Hanwha Life like it a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. You look at the roster here of champions for T1, and it does look like they enjoy their frontlining and engaging as well with the Philios on the backside to try to do some long-range stuff. He has a massive wall of champions in front of him, So you could say that at the end of the day, both of the teams kind of ran into each other in the draft. But LS is saying that this one over here looks like they're going to have a bit more fun when it does come down to that close quarters combat.
Set, Diana, Rumble, MF, and Shen. It's going to be the team composition. So this really spikes around 2 items, but they're also extremely powerful at 1 item. So if they get ahead, it's going to be really hard for T1 to stabilize, and also the T1 team composition is not one that can fall behind. There's no insurance policy in this team, and if this game goes even, it's all going to come down to Teddy on the Aphelios, because the other champions, they're just going to be invalidated.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if Teddy can pull off some kind of Mystic performance from yesterday. He has done it in the past, but again, guys, because we do not have any fans here in the audience, there are no fan chants. We had our moment to do the fan chants over at Kespa Cup. I'm not going to torture you guys with that once again.
What do you mean torture?
You remember when we did the fan chants over at the Kespa Cup?
That was your fault, Valdez.
T1 Fighting!
Just like we're back. No, just like we're back in the LCK. Just like we're back. The T1 fans bought out all the seats. See? Right on schedule.
Well, then they have one insider that does the Hanwha Life fan chant because they feel a little bit bad. And then there are like 3 people that cheer alongside because they also feel bad. And they get a little thing. You could have done a little bit of a tribute to their team.
All right, well, taking a look at the match here. Comet going to be on the Rumble. Also has the Scorch, which personally I really hate Scorch outside of solo queue, where obviously winning lane is all that sort of matters and trying to get those solo kills. But in competitive, I mean, in LCK especially, we've been having games go past 30 minutes pretty often. So Gathering Storm just feels like a much better rune, especially because if you guys don't know, just hop into Practice Tool and set a bot as your opponent. Go in and actually see how much Scorch actually does, or if you're taking it in your solo queue games, make sure to check out how much it did at the end of the game, and it's a pretty compelling argument against it.
Yeah, I mean, you have mentioned that many times before. Rumble, though, it's a guy that loves his penetration for sure. He doesn't have the most amazing AP scaling, so could that potentially be part of the reason why you would take it on someone like Rumble compared to someone else?
Well, Rumble, he is really obnoxious. He's a lane bully as well, so typically lane bullies can be the ones that do end up taking Scorch. But so far, Roach getting pushed in, but going back to the Rumble thing, against the Aatrox.
Boy.
Okay, hold on.
We're going to have to hold that doll. We got to dive down here. The double knockup coming on in, but Effort is going to be the first one that goes down, and Teddy goes down too. They tried to set up the dive, and with the double knockup, it was looking good to start, but immediately they give away a bunch of gold over to the side of Hanwha Life.
That was a extremely peculiar dive. And unfortunately, Hanwha Life, they're going to be the ones that make out on it the most. So that was definitely an interesting choice here.
Okay.
Valdez.
Interesting choice of words as well, as in comes Cuz. Really going to go in with that flash. He's not wasting any time. Will be a trade of flash for flash. There's Effort even was roaming up from the bottom side. Wanted to get some revenge. They end up only getting the flash.
Yeah.
조심해라.
Be careful.
나 W야, W야.
I have W, I have W.
Yeah. They just stand in the W. And that was really what saved them. Lens didn't have to say anything else except Nisa at the end.
Yeah.
As really was all about that W. They stand on top of it, and nobody could really attack them after that.
That was obviously a nice trade for Hanwha Life. Haru just continuing to farm as Diana right now. Inside of the jungle. As Effort looking for a trade now. Vista and Lehens are failing to crash. Faker behind. Now, both of them do have flash.
Yeah, Lehens just easily able to flash away from that one. Faker, nice roam timing after it looks like he pushed in the mid wave. Just is able to use that, yeah, no freeze there. I see your unhappiness with the situation. Not going to deny any minions, just crashes it into Faker, who will miss one and get all the XP.
Yep.
So doesn't deny any XP, doesn't deny level 6 ahead of Tempt, who has TP and can go back to lane for it.
And also, meanwhile, up in this top lane, double Doran's Blade for QV.
Same for MF too, actually.
Yep. MF, you can see her oftentimes go up to 5 maximum. Typically, she'll end up purchasing 3 depending on how the lane is going, but right now, T1, they're actually going to rotate. They're going to get themselves the Cloud Dragon, so that's actually really nice for Mordekaiser's Death Realm. Normally doesn't end up getting CDR until way later in his build, typically, as he goes for Leandri's Torment first item.
You mentioned being pushed in.
Okay, well,
that's, just
he's going to
continuing
die
in
on
the top
this wave.
side.
Roach needs to be really, yeah, he understands that Set can superplex him.
Yeah. And look at Kyve too. He's just threatening it and saying,
Yeah.
You have to leave lane. That's
And
a massive
Roach
wave that
is
he's missing.
Getting lane. Oh no! Oh what? Why did he come out? Hello? Kyve
yes,
right now showing us that
I'm
he's
here.
no, he's dead. He's press Q.
Well, he's waiting for Cuz to come on in.
No, Roach is dead.
Kyve is just going to try to go in and kill him anyway, as you are dead. And they're trying to go for the 1-for-1, but it's absolutely not going to happen, as Hanwha Life are just going to rotate up to the top side. Extremely questionable play here, as now Cuz in a world of hurt already on top of that one, as Kyve going to pick up another kill. On top of it is already 2-0 as disaster strike for
This,
T1 Hanwha getting ahead early.
This top lane is so far from over, and right there, what I was.
You mean incredibly over, right?
Well, it is so far over.
Yeah.
This is
Not
this
far
is
from.
Iron Man without his armor walking a lane right here. That's exactly what this
Yeah.
is. As we take a look at bot lane, I'll talk about what was going on inside of that replay once we probably end up getting to it, because it was very peculiar the way that Kyve started it off. It actually was very close. So right here, he's not pressing Q for the accelerated movement speed towards the Mordekaiser that forced the flash initially. Mordekaiser responds with flash, you respond flash E, and then can probably end up even saving Superplex for the Jarvan, but he gets really low. It doesn't quite matter though, as Temp comes up with the equalizer, and then Haymaker knocking Jarvan right into next year as the coaches rejoice, except for Nofe.
Yeah. Nofe knows that it's still early on in the game, although the coach in the middle was kind of leaning back in his chair and got a bit excited after that one. I mean, this is going to be a big set early on. Not only is he ahead 2 kills, but massive amount of XP in the top side after Mordekaiser missed so much from being zoned out. And then, of course, the CS gap that is already widening up here. So it's 20 in the difference.
And so I talked about this inside of the draft. If T1 falls behind, it's going to be really, really hard for them to come back, because Aphelios is the only insurance policy that they have. But with the insane amount of backline access that Hanwha Life Esports has, Set can even get onto him by using Jarvan or Mordekaiser as a catapult to reach Aphelios, combined with the equalizer, Diana's long-range access, and it's going to be way too hard for T1 to just peel for him. So the fact that Set is getting so big, and for Rumble to be going completely even here in the mid lane, Diana getting herself in a really good position as well. This is not a good situation right now for T1. Now, the one upside is Set is building Black Cleaver. So
yeah.
T1 has that going for them.
For a second, I thought you meant that was a good thing in the build, but I've been watching the cast, and I know that you're not a big fan yeah, it'll come in. You mentioned the Aphelios trying to get ahead. At least that is happening down on the bottom side with Cuz hanging around down here in the bot as Efforts is going to get taunted up and loses more than half his HP. And they are going to deny the back.
Oh, no.
As
And now the
Haru,
turret.
Yeah.
Turret's going to die. Death Realm's going to come out. But no, Roach is dead.
Yeah, they don't even have to wait for the turret to go down. They're just going to 2-on-1 him as Death Realm comes in. Cube is more than able to handle that. And that should get another push up in the top side as this play in the bottom side has been delayed for quite a long time and has not really happened. Another charge going to come in, and how about a luxury turret? Not going to happen just yet. They're looking to push into it just now as a nice amount of extra gold is going to be handed over here to the side of Hanwha.
Okay, well. That's a very big set. He has almost a 3,000 gold advantage in top lane at 10 minutes.
Interesting.
Black Cleaver now complete. And so we just take a look at this. Rift Herald comes in, Superflex right next to HLE. Roach tries to cast the Death Realm. It just doesn't even matter. He is just too far behind. I really hope teams stop picking Mordekaiser against that.
Yeah,
It's a
we
set
talked
favorite
about
matchup.
punishing Set, and then they picked Mordekaiser into him.
Well, you know, we were just talking actually before the games that there's so many champions that punish Set.
Yeah.
And when you draft 4 melees, I'm not.
Yeah, it's definitely
I guess
a question.
We're allergic to winning, is what seems to be the diagnosis.
Maybe they just want to give him a chance, you know? Or maybe they're just treating it like a scrim, and they're like, okay, we'll let you get ahead to begin with,
Okay.
and then we'll try to come from behind.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, they have 2 dragons, right? So, you know, there's one guy there in the Twitch chat who's like, LS doesn't get it. I mean, T1 have the dragons, and they're going to get that dragon soul. So.
Well, you know, interestingly enough, that's actually the only out T1 has right now.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it is probably the second worst dragon soul they could roll against this Hanwha Life.
Trying a 2v1 here onto Faker. Lots of damage already coming out as the flash comes in from Cube. Not calculating that correctly, as that was obviously not going to be the kill onto Faker, who also did take the Hex Drinker and has heal as a summoner. So a lot of extra damage able to be absorbed, and Faker gets away scot-free.
Okay, Roach. He knows that Jarvan's in close proximity. Now, this is the part of the game where you'll notice. Okay, hold on.
All right, another play down on the bottom side. They're going to lock down the Hens. That was not a flash that you want to go for. Follow-up engage here in the mid lane. Jarvan doesn't do much, but will get the flash away from Tempt in the 2-on-2. Roach just a very sad Mordekaiser right now. Does have the Jarvan nearby, but look at Jarvan's health as they go into the Death Realm.
Why would you Death Realm?
You know, effectively locks Roach in with him. He decides he wants to try to survive for as long as possible. He's going to get locked in, as we're not diving in just yet. He didn't have his ultimate available. As Roach's positioning in this game and decision-making has been, at the very least, questionable.
Cube, no suplex available. Jarvan, what, 10 centimeters away from him? When that was actually going on, I have no idea what was just going on. Solar Flare cast, bullseye on the Lehens.
It's Aphelios
and
Lehon.
Really, Teddy and Effort,
Yeah.
they're going to have to put this entire game on their back. They're the only hope T1 has. And I mean, that's what we talked about early on, is that Aladios is going to have to do a lot this game. If they're going to want to stay in this.
He does have a lot going for him, that's for sure. It was cool to see the synergy between Aladios and Lejones down in the bottom side. As once you do get the root, you can easily follow up with that Solar Flare. As, okay, Vista, you got to be careful of that. As Sniperino, down you go. The TPs come in. They want to try to punish them here, but Teddy does have that flash, but the damage coming out from the set is going to put him in the death chamber. Down will go Effort, as the teleports do come in to pick up that win in the team fight on the bottom side.
All right, well, Set is getting extremely big. Now, one of the things, though, about taking that top tier 2 turret that I want to talk about is you'll notice the CS gap has basically closed. It's weird how that works, Valdez. When the lane is
he
really...
freeze it, though.
No, he never did freeze it, but because Set can't constantly keep pushing up and meeting every wave,
he has to give away.
He is giving away some minions every single time, and so the net difference ends up closing over time, and this is the thing that when you freeze, you can also achieve.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nobody actually knows how to do that. I mean, it's kind of just like a myth that you hear about, right?
It actually is folklore, yeah.
From the olden days of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah.
The old Greek gods used to play here. And
the old gods.
Yeah,
all
the old gods used to freeze the lanes, I hear, but nobody does that anymore. That's heresy. But yeah, I mean, it's true. You used to call that top tier 2 a luxury turret, actually, where
Yes,
it's like,
I did.
You can take it, you know, you'll get some extra gold, but it's not a necessity. But now you actually are saying that it's not a good idea to take it, because
it's not a good idea, especially not this early. This is very akin to taking an inhibitor at 17, 18, 19 minutes. It's actually going to be really bad.
Yeah.
You're going to start
the inhibitor turret
bleeding 400 gold a minute the other way. And so even if you're ahead 3,000 gold, by the time the inhibitor ends up going away, you've actually helped them close that gap a lot faster, unless you somehow manage to end the game or manage to capture a major neutral during that time. And so that's why actually Shirley can end up being a little scary, depending on what kind of a push you do. Because map positioning is really important. Mordekaiser's ahead in CS now, so if they get a Set shutdown, that's going to be really big in closing everything. The death timer that'll come in at 20 minutes or so if they get the shutdown on them, probably going to equate to 2 waves going one champion's way, not Set's. It's going to help close the gold gap.
Really just unloading here onto Teddy. It does not end up working out, as the Solar Flare is going to shut down at the end of that bullet time. But at the end of the day, I mean, Teddy, he doesn't have a splash. It's an interesting idea. He did have to cleanse, but you lock him down, do a nice amount of damage, and really all that it's going to unlock is a potential push into the mid lane. It's Cuvée threatening from behind, but they have enough wave clear with the Mordekaiser and the Aphelios there and everything. They're able to shut it down, and so those 2 ultimates end up being for naught.
Well, Deadman's Plate going to be the second item for Cuvée here. And realistically, I don't think that's a very good item, primarily because all you need to do is get onto the back line, and everyone's going to be scattering, trying to just protect Aphelios. That Sterix is going to basically achieve the same thing. It's going to also give you more damage. And so, by going the Deadman's, yeah, you'll have more armor stats, and you'll have a little bit more mobility, but with all of the side lane turrets falling and the mid turrets being the only ones that are up, T1 is only going to be turtling, as is already. So the value out of Deadman's Plate going to be a little bit diminished. And I mean, look at Mordekaiser. He's getting further and further ahead in the CS department. Hanwha Life, despite all of the advantages that they got early on, they can't do anything with it, and this is a byproduct of the ping-ponging of lanes. Because people think there's only one way to play League, and that's to push lanes and then look to do something.
Yeah, like get map positioning, right? And take away the turrets so that you can deny vision. That's so 2016, man. We gotta live in 2020. This is LS's year. The year of the freeze.
The year of the
Ice Age is returning. Back here in Korea. It's pretty cold the last 3 days.
Greta Thunberg's my biggest fan. You know, that's what's going on here.
Oh man.
I'm trying to stop the climate change on some.
Yeah, you're trying to reverse the effects here.
Yeah. Oh no.
So, is Ocean Rift a good thing for the climate, or is that a bad thing? I wasn't really sure. I mean,
you know what?
The vegetation
more
is
honey
good.
fruits means that you can take more damage while trying to freeze. So the way that I look at it,
I thought you were gonna say while dying to climate change.
I feel like, you know, Mountain Dragon probably represents a drought.
Yeah.
You know, so
You know, we live in the unluckiest generation, the one that's going to die to climate change, but not get to explore space. Doesn't that suck?
No.
We're too old now, especially you and me. I mean, we're essentially boomers at this point.
What?
We're not going to be able to explore the universe, but we're gonna be on Earth for its dying days as climate change takes us out. Feels bad, man.
It's all right.
You ever think about that?
No.
Just thinking about
You know
that
what
last
I
week.
was thinking about actually. While we're in a bit of a lull state.
Yeah.
It has been in the last like 200 years. Okay, we've had electricity. But
Yeah,
when you
this
look
is
around,
true.
look at what we're doing right now as a job, right? We're casting something. Well, I mean, we're using electricity to do this, right? To
Yeah.
people all around
And,
the
you know,
planet.
casting in quotations.
And that's just in the last 200 years. It's actually insane to realistically think about, you know? So.
Those ones and zeros that are popping up on our screen and making these champions dance. That's their job.
For all the millions of
electricity.
years that this planet has been around, you know?
Thank you, Mr. Edison.
Yeah. No problem.
We don't have to thank Baker. We just thank Mr. Edison. You guys were talking about movies. You see that movie Current War?
No, what is that?
It's about the the DC AC current war between Edison and Tesla. You studied that in NA, right?
Well,
It was actually not that bad.
I was doing a history quiz on stream yesterday. I just
Oh
not
boy,
really
that
working
doesn't
out.
sound good.
All right, well, let's talk about the actual game here for a second. 4,000 gold has been locked, by the way. So maybe instead of playing ping pong with all of the lanes, because this is actually the definition of insanity. I can't. I can't. Cameraman, take me away.
But it was available. The haymaker was ready to use. He had to use
Well,
it.
QB, he has a hot date to get to somewhere. He's gotta be somewhere.
Well, I mean, pushing the lane doesn't make the game end any sooner.
The thing is that T1 will never contest this mountain dragon, and if they do, you have teleport. So if Cube just pulled that wave in, froze it, Atrox can never walk up to it again. Do that for 2 waves, congratulations, you killed him. But no, instead we're gonna get ping pong and now Faker, not to be outdone.
Hey, he's Aatrox. He has great wave clear. He's got to use it really well.
I actually can't. And then there's actually people that unironically defend the pushing of the waves over and over. Like people have somewhere to be right now. What vision is important right now? Neither team can actually do Baron. Let's not kid ourselves. We have blue trinkets that are available.
Would you say that the ping-ponging or the freezing ends the game sooner? Because like you get a big advantage from freezing.
The thing is that the freeze creates. I've talked about this for so long, and I'm not going to shut up about it because it just is progression in terms of actual game strategy. It demands a response. It demands that either the losing team start an objective and thus take an unfavorable fight, or it demands the losing team come to you on your terms, and then you get to kill them because they're overextended. Yeah. Or it demands the losing team invest more resources into vision in order to still be incapable of fighting you, which is a great win. And then people say stuff like vision or river control or what vision matters here? I guess the red side vision of Hanwha life matters right now. The red jungle. It's really important that T1 gets some vision there for the non-existent camps.
Yeah.
That's.
And
it doesn't make any sense.
We've been doing this for the past like 6-7 minutes, right?
You know what though?
Maybe if you're preparing for Baron takes.
Is Leandri's that finally did change?
Yeah.
You know, fighting the good fight.
Also, well, Effort might just die here. He's going to get taunted over the wall as Stopwatch, a pretty fun ability, or item rather. And the snipe not going to come in. Effort will survive as coming on in now, 5v4. They know Effort has to back. And what was little left of the jungle is going to be taken out.
Because of the ping-ponging, the gold gap's actually gone down. It's at 3,000 now.
Yeah. It was at 5,000.
T1 is actually coming back because Hanwha Life keeps ping-ponging waves over and over without achieving anything. And then every single time, they actually lose a little bit of minions before the wave comes back into them. Cube!
I was just waiting. I was holding back my laughter early on because as you were talking about it, Faker, he got the wave pushed into him, and then he immediately, in the face of Kibe, was pushing it back. He's like, I will not be outdone. I must push it back as fast as possible.
How's your night going? The weather is great outside, actually, today.
Yeah, well, it's a bit better
It's
than
almost
the
spring.
past 3 days.
Spring's a month and a half away.
I've been touting that for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, it's been cold, guys, but this is probably going to be the coldest that it will be for the foreseeable future, right?
That's really nice.
We might get like one extra cold snap coming in. But other than that, I mean, should be on our way to warmer weather. I'm looking forward to not having to wear 3 jackets. I'm not a big fan of that.
I have a really big winter coat.
Yeah.
It's very fluffy. Fluffy. Fluffy? I don't know.
Yeah, well.
You know what I saw that was actually very fluffy? Do you know, I guess they're called a Samoyed dog?
Yeah. Those are the
Samoyed?
fluffy boys.
Oh my god. They are a literal walking cloud. The most adorable... I don't even know what I was looking at. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
It was really amazing. It was like the clouds in Mario just entered real life and started walking around on all fours.
Okay.
It was adorable.
I'm not the biggest fan of the super floofy dogs. I like the well, I'm also kind of a cat person. I like the skinnier ones that can like play around and hop around and stuff. He missed a cannon, by the way. If you're gonna ping pong, you might as well get every single minion. It's not like there's any pressure on you, by the way.
I love the ping ponging. And you know,
you love League of Legends?
the other funny thing, right, is when people will dismiss something based on what they think will end up happening without trying both ends of the spectrum first.
Or they watch one game.
You would never encounter that in other areas of life where...
What do you mean? Yes, you would.
Well, no. Well, I mean, you would, but...
Just look at anti-vax. Like
okay, you get where I'm trying to go with that.
People will be people. As we are in here onto the Mountain Drake, they have decided now is the time to fight. As T1 do not want to let this third Mountain Drake go the way of Hanwha Life. Baker trying to get that engaged, but in goes the set into the backline.
Backline
a huge
access.
amount of damage, and Teddy just disappears on top of this. That set is huge in this game. There was nothing he could do. He didn't even flash away. He died so fast. As, well, Rumble died, but on the backside, Leona also will go down. As some people are doing the Mountain Drake, some people are diving the mid turret. As Haru does have that stopwatch. Kibe, oh no, is going to miss that one on the backside. Miss a couple of extra kills, but either way, Hanwha Life still going to win that fight 2-1. They also take out the Aphelios and the Mountain Drake. So good stuff coming in.
You know what? I want to mention something that I wasn't thinking about before. Well, I'll talk about that right after the replay. So let's take a look at this. This is the exact engage I talked about earlier on. The Superplex direct backline access with the equalizer set, reaching Aphelios, and no one can peel for him. Atrox, Mordekaiser, you don't have enough damage to just be in the backline and try to trade backline for backline and then do a stand against set and Diana, who are gunning for your AD carry. And so right here, it was beautiful. Turret aggro being locked up by Cube, using that Haymaker shield as well to juggle with the stopwatch. Missed out on the Flash E. But the thing that I actually missed out on that is really nice earlier is the Dead Man's Plate actually getting 18% amplification from the Mountain Dragons is huge.
Yeah.
So getting those resistances is really nice. And so when you're a team that knows that you're staring down Mountain Soul, starting to actually get items that have resistances and have HP and stuff of that nature becomes a lot more valuable, because on the side of T1 right now, they don't have any pen. And so the resistances, all of a sudden, the non-tanky champions are actually tanky because they have 18% bonus resistances. So
Okay, here we go again. Cube trying to lock on to that backside as Haru going to pull him in as well. Going into that one. Temp coming in from behind, doing that burst damage onto Teddy. Has the stopwatch available. Teddy, though, is going to survive. Haru going down on the backside. Isn't going to matter, though. Doesn't look like it as Mordekaiser trying to go 1v4. In goes Faker, but he underestimated Cube as he's still a monster, and Vista had enough room to be peeled for. Still doing that damage. Not the cleanest fight. A 2-for-2 going both ways, as it was kind of a mixed up one there in the mid lane.
The other thing about this is the core item builds for some of these champions weren't yet completed. There's no reason to fight. If we take a look at this, Faker's actually the one that pulls the trigger. Cube suplexes him into the team. Teddy flashing away effort, doing his best, actually misses that solar flare. Lehen's also missing the flash taunt, or the taunt on Shen. Not a flash actually used. And this fight actually panned out pretty good for T1. They did not end up getting Cube in the end, who has the really big shutdown on him. Sterix now also completed. He also has the QSS. But it's only a 3,500 gold advantage. The problem is that Mountain Soul is coming in just a second. And I really hope that Rumble, who's been sitting on the Blasting Wand and Amp Tome, isn't really considering a Morellonomicon. I would really appreciate a Void Staff against the Maul of Malmortius, QSS, Merktread team. That'd be really, really good to get the Void Staff with a pen there.
Doesn't sound bad. Doesn't sound like a bad idea, and he does have those pieces, as you did mention. I wonder if that fight was just a force out of Hanwha Life to get people to use some summoners before this Mountain Drake comes up. That would be some nice, maybe 150 IQ coming on in there. They have 3 of their own flashes coming up here on time, I believe. Or it's getting close there. You can see Cube, Tempt, and Vista are going to have theirs available, it looks like, for the Mountain Drake fight. And as you mentioned, the Mountain Drake Soul is probably going to be the game decider here in this one.
Yes.
It's not all about the Baron anymore. It's not even all about Elder, although Elder is a massive game decider, as we have seen. But it is really going to be all about that fight. So getting the push on in the top side from Tempt. Doesn't have his TP. He's got to get back here and in position for the Mountain Drake fight. Pushing it in early is T1, trying to deny some vision before this fight does come down.
And 15 seconds.
Yeah, lots of pings coming down here onto the wards that could be behind them. We do know that Cube does have his teleport, so nice looking out here by T1 to say, okay, he could teleport behind us, but there is another ward behind them, and there's even one here in the mid lane. If they do commit onto the Mountain Drake, okay, trying to go 1v1 here. In comes the TP from the right side. Faker is going to be pinned here, 2v1. Can he get out of this one? They're trying to burst him down, and down he will go. As now the Equalizer is going to slow a bunch of them. In goes the Shen for the big time engage. That's already 5-on-3. And he might be already closing out the final chapter of this book, as Effort is also not going to get away. And that will be the easy Mountain Soul. The Baron, whatever Hanwha Life wants on this map, will go to them.
And I mean, both are definitely going to go to them. They're going to get the Mountain Soul recall, and then they're going to be able to use the Mountain Soul in the Baron to demand T1 to come to them one more time. And they're going to have the low ground. And as we know in Summoner's Rift, the low ground is much better than the high ground. As I just want to point out that Tempt, he's getting the MVP vote for me. He got the Void Staff, not the Morello. So fighting the good fight against the Forbidden Book. As Faker, he just got flanked on.
Yeah. They tried to clear out the wards, Props to them. They tried to put down some control wards, but they didn't get that very important one that ended up just flanking Faker there.
And effort. I mean,
야
ultimately,
괜찮아 구원 있어 가 다 죽여버려.
he almost swore. He
야
said,
욕
"I have ult."
먹자 얘들아 욕 먹자.
Let's eat dragons,
성
dragons.
가자 사용 가자.
Let's get 4 dragons, 4 dragons.
들어 바로 돼.
Or I think that he just means soul. I don't know if that's actually directly what it translates to.
사용.
Sayong? Yeah, I mean, it means 4th dragon, but I don't know if that's how they refer to soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Could be.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure.
Alright, so this is it. I mean, Mountain Soul, everyone is just getting such insane free stats right now.
They're all
I think
beefy
Shen
boys
has
now.
450 extra HP, 24% ramp on all of them. Okay, yeah, Tempt over there, I think he has, what, 250, 350?
And look at Cube, he's just running at them. They know they have such
That's
a
a beautiful
massive win. The equalizer is just the icing on the cake at this point. As Teddy is also going to have to flash away from this one. Everybody running with their tail between their legs. As T1 looking to get smashed here in game number 1 by Hanwha Life. They're not going to go for the game-ending push just yet. After picking up 2 kills, they will pick up the Baron and then perhaps go for it. They're so far ahead, they really could do whatever they want.
So this is obviously a really big victory here for Hanwha Life Esports because they're taking game 1 off of T1, who, all right, let's take a look at this replay. Cube, he said, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Goes in E. I mean, that was a beautiful E.
Yeah.
And such a combo, too. Equalizer with the W.
Not only did they draft fun stuff because of the really nice and flashy composition from Hanwha Life, it's something different, but also it's effective. Their team fighting is pretty insane. You have Diana that pulls everybody in. You have Set that can pull a bunch of people towards him, and other guys to lock him down for the equalizer, and of course the bullet time out of MF. It's a nicely crafted composition.
It's very nice to see a comp like this. Even the way they drafted B1, B2, B3 allowed T1 to respond, but T1 just drafted themselves into a hole yet again. This is the 4th draft loss for T1. 4th in a row. And
well, it's not anything new, right, for T1?
It's not new at all. We talked about it in the Kespa Cup. I talked about it all of last year.
Yeah.
For such a star lineup and star org to constantly be handicapped at the knees by the drafts and have to mechanically outplay the opponents over and over.
Having a 4-on-3, well, it's going to turn into a lot better for Hanwha as Shen is going to come in. There it is, mixing everybody up on top of the Rumble. It's exactly what you're going to get with this kind of comp, as T1 saw it coming, but perhaps he didn't know it was going to be this scary, as Hanwha Life now going to push in with the Baron and take game number 1.
All right, well, that's going to be it for game 1. Now, can Hanwha Life do what I think many people did not expect, which would have been, or which would be the 2-0, and I think that the real question, or whatever, well, what I'm wondering is, what is going to happen in the draft? Because apparently, that kind of a draft discrepancy, T1 is not able to just overcome. But remember, the lead that Cube got in the top lane was not really translated as much as one would have expected. Lost State ended up happening. 4,000 gold lead ended up getting locked, and that was a drop-off from the 5,000 gold advantage.
Yeah.
But team composition really couldn't be overcome. Aladios not able to do a lot that game.
Yeah, I mean, they needed probably 10, 15 minutes more and to not get stuck in some of the team fights in the mid-game and somehow deny a Dragon Soul, I think.
The other thing about it is the Mountain Dragons being stacked was actually really problematic for T1 because they're not a comp that builds pen. So having to tear through squishy and mid-rangey type of champions that are now all tanks is really problematic.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's another thing that you talked about with, what do you want to do with the Dragons? Maybe you just let the enemy team take the first 2 so you can stack up the Mountains. The other option would have been Infernal, so they could have stacked Infernal Soul or Mountain Soul?
Yeah.
Because it was Ocean and Cloud, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm a very big fan of
two.
intentionally stacking soul. Champions that are really good 15 to 30 minutes. Might not win laning phase. Might not win laning phase.
No, it sounds bad.
Oh, all right.
no.
All right, I'm gonna. You know what? I'm gonna go to the pharmacist. I'm gonna need some.
Absolutely not. Not for you, Alex. Oh, guys. Okay, well, that was game number 1. Hanwha Life took it to T1 here in that first game. Looks like we're gonna go to a break and be back for game number 2.